Let me guess. You may have been told to just be more confident, or maybe it's just speak up. And in some cases, that is helpful, and that's exactly what you need to hear. But today, I want to give you three specific vocal shifts that actually change how you are perceived from an auditory perspective. Not personality changes, not charisma tricks, but actual vocal stability. And sometimes authority is simply heard in stability. When people feel safe, then they trust. So let's look at three places stability might be leaking and where it can land better. Shift number one is to slow down at the important bit. Now, most technical professionals are going to rush into the key point, not because they don't care, but because perhaps they care too much. It's like, this is the exciting part, and I'm going to tell you everything that I know about it. And when something matters, then you speed up and your breath shortens and your pace increases, just like I'm doing now, and your pitch can lift. And the irony then becomes that the more important the idea, the faster you say it, which means that it actually lands less than it could. Now, imagine you're having a heartfelt moment with your partner or a loved one, and they say, I love you. It's rushed, it's compressed. It's almost like, why did you even say that like that? You would immediately feel it and know that, well, the fact that you said it like that somehow negates what you're saying. And obviously, your board of directors are not your partners unless you work at a law firm. Get it? But the principle holds that what you say slowly signals value. What you give time to always sounds more important. Now, I can already hear the objection because I've heard it several times. You know what? I just can't help it. Once I start, I speed up and then my nerves take over and I just whiz through because I want to get it over and done with. And I get it. So here is the move. Here's what you do instead. So before you begin to speak, before your words get away from you, you pause from the beginning, just like that. Yes, it will feel like an eternity. And my recommendation, do it anyway. The pause does two things. Number one, it immediately signals authority, and you have done nothing. You have literally done nothing, right? Free authority for you. But number two, it lowers the chance that you race ahead at full speed after you have started so calmly. If you launch off at 100 miles per hour right after you have paused, it will feel like much more of a contrast than if someone says, come up and speak, and then you just hit the ground running. Okay. If you start grounded, you're in control of your pace. You're definitely more in control of your pace. So, what I want you to take away is your authority can begin before your first word. That's shift number one. Shift number two, finish down, not up. If I were to say that, exemplifying what I mean is finish down, not up. This is a subtle one, but it's extremely powerful. Listen for this in yourself, and you will start to hear it everywhere. When you make a statement, does your pitch rise slightly at the end, almost like it's a question? For example, so the recommendation today is to delay the launch. Even if you didn't mean it as a question, it sounds like one. Rising inflection, that is, ending things like a question, weakens any sense of authority. Questions are useful when you don't know the answer and you are looking for one. And if that's not the case, then you want people to hear a statement. A statement is definitive. So you want to practice finishing down. The recommendation is to delay the launch. See the difference? The recommendation is to delay the launch, as opposed to the recommendation is to delay the launch. Let the tone settle at the end. It's just like in music. If you heard the tone da 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 da, that doesn't signal the end. But when you hear da 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 da, you know, like, oh, okay, I think that's the end. That's the end of the song. It's exactly the same in a sentence. Downward signals resolution and completion. And completion signals confidence. Oh, okay, they're done. And everyone loves closure. So statements give your audience exactly that. Watch your inflection. Number 3, pause after the point. I realize that number 1 and number 3 are both pausing, but they are in different places. And one of the things I actually want you to realize is that so much of vocal authority is actually through what happens between your words. So you may be thinking, so shift number 1 is don't speak, and shift number 3 is pause. So basically, 2 of these 3 are basically not speaking. Yes. And you would be so surprised to see how much of authority comes from not using words. If we were to do that more, we would instantly convey more authority. And the best part about that is you don't even have to think when you pause. It's a win-win. You can't speed up and you can't put your foot in your mouth if you're not talking. So it's great. It's a great skill to learn. So shift number 3 is to pause right after you say something important. A lot of people say their key point, and then they immediately continue talking. They whiz past. So what I want to share is that I've just discovered the meaning of life. The next point I'd like to discuss is, let the point land. When you do this, the silence after the statement strengthens it. It allows the room to absorb what you have just said. And it signals to them, I finished that thought and it's worth pondering. And they will do it because there's space to do so. And from an auditory perspective, there are actually cells that fire when there is the end of something. And so it's not that nothing is happening. Actually, something starts happening at the end when there is a pause, and you want to let that have its space. And that means, no, you don't have pressure to scramble. You don't have pressure to keep going. You're just letting your point land. Now, none of these shifts require you to be louder or to be deeper or to be more extroverted. None of them. They just require you to take a breather. Take a second. Before you open your mouth, just breathe and then start. Then make sure that when you're making a statement, it doesn't sound like a question. And then number 3, when you've given a point that holds weight, wait. And so now you want to train yourself to do this. You record yourself answering a question and then listen back and ask, how long did I wait before starting to speak? Where did I rush? Where did I step in when a silence would have actually done the job better? What you want to do is simply notice it. It's simply about seeing the patterns and trends and making one tweak at a time. A small vocal adjustment goes a long way. And that can change how your years of competence are perceived because you have worked way too hard for your expertise to go overlooked. So now, if you're serious about diagnosing where you are and moving from where you are to where you want to be an authority in your field, and not just in your technical area, but also as a leader, then join me inside the Technical Executive, where you get access to a free course and you get the foundations of that executive presence and with an auditory audit that will help you to increase your auditory authority. This will allow you to figure out where perception is actually working against you and remediate where your communication is holding you back. Communication is the key, influence is the outcome, and promotion is the reward. And in this video, I'm telling you all about what your voice signals even before you finish a sentence. And once you hear it, you will not be able to unhear it. And I'm going to tell you what you need to do to fix that. I'll see you in that video.